All right, well, let's
Yeah.
start rolling up here. May I have a roll call to call this to order?
Broderick? Here. Mr. Feldmeyer?
Here.
Mr. Thomas?
Here.
Mrs. Zoller?
Here.
Thank you.
All right, join me on the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I thank you. I presume may I have a motion to adopt the agenda? And a second? Second. And a roll call?
Mr. Feldmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Zoller?
Yes.
Mrs. Broderick?
Yes. Okay, and I presume we do not have anyone who wants to chit chat. Okay, then we're gonna go, to, executive session. Sorry. Totally out of my head.
So moved.
Okay. Thank you, and okay. And a roll call, and then we'll,
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Zoller?
yes.
Mrs. Broderick?
Yes.
Mr. Feldmeyer?
Yes.
Just for everyone's knowledge, the executive session is about an employee, and also at the end is about employees. They are indeed two separate, situations that we will talk about tonight, just to make sure we're following the rules. All right, thank you. We will, continue. We've come out of executive session, to talk about the employment of personnel, and we will now do committee reports. However, the only committee that's really meeting on a regular basis is Summer's Facilities. So let's go right to facilities.
Okay, I will share a few highlights. Anyone else can jump in. On June 17th, we had a primary facilities core team meeting. Again, the focus of those conversations is on preparations for Friendship United Methodist Church. Being ready for Hilltop students to start the year there. So that's very exciting. July will be a big month for us as we start to move all of our educational equipment into the church, make sure all of our technology, safety planning is set up. And we'll be working to finalize those plans. Actually, an interesting connection here. If you remember back, our CAC team did a study on utilizing alternative sites for educational purposes. And so we're looking at that checklist or the list of recommendations that the CAC team has shared with us. Just as a checkpoint to make sure that we're addressing a lot of those items. The storage is a big one. So speaking about that and testing out all of our equipment. So we'll be doing that. Our next core team meeting is scheduled for July 9th. And again, that will be right in the midst of those final preparations. Anything else from the team to add?
I just, sorry if you said it and I spaced out, but since our last meeting, I don't know if we got to close the loop with everybody that we toured Indian Hill. Cause that was like right after our last meeting together. So just like as a group, Mike went and just as an opportunity to see a different building and take a lot of pictures of things we liked or maybe what we didn't like or what they chose that maybe doesn't function. So I think that was helpful for moving into this next process as well.
For sure.
Yeah, that was definitely helpful.
It's very surprising to me that when you're coming south on Springfield Pike, you can't really see those buildings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're very
Right.
well tucked in
Kind of
with some
mysteriously not there.
shrubs there. Yeah, it's great.
All right, thank you. We'll go on to policies, but at this point, I'm moving on to Roman numeral 6. Remember, we had a first read in May. We moved some of them about. We've had some conversations. We've had some discussions. And now we're back with, ready to do a second read and approval of those following policies. Unless someone has a question or a concern, I'm gonna move on.
I did like the rewrites.
The
that
rewrites were
indicated
great.
Due to Ohio state
Right.
law.
Yeah. Don't be looking at us.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Own it. Well, and
I
with
agree.
even with that, with the possibility of any legislative changes that happen over the summer, if anything is in need of further revision, we'll bring it back to the policy committee and the board to discuss that too.
And that's, with some of the items that are on here, we can almost be sure that there will be
Some adjustments.
a change of some kind, yes. All right, and then the second part is to approve the revised calendar. Oh, boy.
Yeah, and the change here, the only change here is, the May date. On the original 25-26 calendar that was connected to Memorial Day weekend. And both the city and the school district saw some challenges with that, and so we've shifted it 1 week earlier in the calendar.
As the PSA saw.
Yes, so, yes.
All right. All right, may I have a motion to approve the Board of Education report?
So moved.
Second, I'll second it. May I have a roll call?
Mrs. Aller?
Yes.
Mrs. Broderick?
Yes.
Mr. Feldmeyer?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
All right, treasurer.
Thanks, Jeannie. Item A, approval of the minutes from the May 19th regular meeting, the May 29th special meeting, and the June 3rd planning meeting. Approve the statement of revenues and expenses for the month of May. Accept with appreciation the list of donations. And item D are appropriations adjustments. I submitted a few additional appropriation adjustments. So I appreciate if we could just talk about those for a second. Those are in addition to what I submitted. I was out of the district last week, so just had to tidy up a couple things that came in last week. So in addition to what I had originally submitted, there were changes, appropriation increases to our voted PI funds, an 007 accounts, and the high school band account in anticipation for band camp. So a couple things, just to get some additional orders in before we close our books for June. So in addition to what I had originally submitted, which is just tidying up a number of student activity accounts and working towards all of our year-end processes. So the appropriation adjustments are as revised provided for you here tonight.
Okay.
Item E is the 25-26 annual contract for services with HCC. This is a number of our data, our EMIS, student reporting, a number of those things. So there's our contract for 25-26, and then 26 is, item F is fiscal year 26 temporary appropriations. So, the next 7 days, we'll be working to balance everything and shut it all down, and then the temporary appropriations allow us to start it all back up and move forward with the July 5th pay date, and then we'll be working with at some time a new state budget, and we'll be updating the revenue projections. At some point, I believe we will see some version of changes to how we submit things to the Budget Commission, so just kind of maybe be ready for that, because that might look different as we work through our normal processes from when we shut down our fiscal year and kick up the new one. There are a number of things that we go through are just part of our rhythm at this point, but some of those might look a little different, so be ready for that. But the temporary appropriations allows us to get going and run that first pay date of the year. And then G is approval of the report, please.
May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Eller?
Yes.
Mrs. Broderick?
Yes.
Mr. Feldmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Superintendent's report.
Right, I have several personnel items. Number one is a recommendation to approve recommendation or resignations that have come in from staff through the district. Number two is a recommendation to approve new personnel. You'll see two staff members there. One is Stephanie Hubbard, half-day kindergarten. Excited about her taking on that role within that half-day program. And then the second one there, Amy Mayer, coming in as a middle school educational aide. So we're excited about her educational experience and taking that into an aide perspective. And number three, recommendation to approve these two new job descriptions, gifted coordinator, special education coordinator. These are supplemental positions that current staff members will be recommended for, and they are to support student services, working with Dr. Dina Kirshner. And we think that there will be a great collaborative piece of work within pupil services or student services, and really working hand in hand to move forward within intervention and special education. Number four, recommendation to approve unpaid leave. You can see for this individual staff member. Number five is a recommendation to approve these athletic supplemental contracts. And you do see some volunteers also here. Thanks to all of these individuals for supporting students in many, many exciting events. Number 6 is a recommendation to approve sources of strength work, and this is a suicide prevention program at the middle school. Number 7 is a recommendation for media specialist summer work. We had already approved high school and primary schools, library and media work, and so this is connecting the middle school to that summer effort also. Number 8 is a recommendation to approve this high school curriculum work. Andy Lyon is going to be working on developing a new course that was approved this past spring. Number 9 is Wilson training. This is specialized special education training for David Ambrose. Number 10 is a recommendation to approve additional work for our MTSS and 504 coach or coordinator. And these additional days go before the school year starts, the 25-26 school year, and then after the school year ends, and to support the development of those programs and then reflection on those programs. Number 11 is for extended days, and this is for our district nurse. And then number 12 is recommendation to approve evaluation committee summer work for these two individuals. And then number 13, you've seen this before. This is a recommendation to approve payment for science of reading training. This is for an individual who is retiring this year. That's still recommended, or that's required training. Again, this is paid by the district and then reimbursed by the state. And then number 14 is a recommendation to approve volleyball camp. This is step 2, it's staffing of the volleyball camp. And Holly Cordes is going to talk about. Yes.
Tim, I
Yep.
forgot to ask it, but
Yep.
just real quick on the gifted and special education coordinator, I didn't
Yes.
see, are those full-time? Did I miss it
No,
on the?
those are
job
supplemental.
description?
Those are supplemental positions, so that happens outside the work of the regular day by current staff members. And
Oh,
so,
okay.
and this is
I
just
gotcha.
approving the job descriptions today.
Uh-huh.
And then most likely at a later meeting here in the next 2 meetings, we will approve individuals for both of those roles.
Okay, I see. Yep, thank you.
So this person might be the same person who's the current gifted coordinator, or it would be,
Well, the gifted coordinator before was Dr. Wertzler. She handled that role, right? So this will be another staff member in the district who will take on that supplemental, that'll be new to that individual.
Who
Yeah,
has the required training
that's right.
to
Mhm.
serve in that?
That's
It
right.
would be one of our current employees who hold the certification.
That's right.
like, so a gifted teacher who
Yes.
then
Yes.
has
Yes.
this coordinator
Has a
role
additional-
of all the
Yeah.
the webs and the, okay,
Yes.
got it.
Yeah. Other teachers could also have that special licensure. But yes, it would be a teacher who has that special licensure. Yep.
Good idea.
Yeah, it's nice. It's really formalizing the team. We talked about soon bringing a conversation to the board about all of the responses and actions and future planning that are connected to the audit that was done. And so we're excited to share some of those. This is just one factor that is connected with the audit and moving forward in a positive way.
Great.
Mhm. Any other questions?
No, may we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Mrs. Barker?
Yeah.
Mr. Feldmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Zeller?
Yes. All right, thank you. The superintendent's report, second superintendent's report.
Yep, just an additional personnel item. This is a recommendation for third quest training. And that's for the one individual on the agenda.
We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
May I have a second? Second. We have a roll call.
Mr. Feldmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Zeller?
Abstain?
Ms. Barker?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, and then superintendent's update.
Yeah, well, it being the end of June, and we've shared a lot of communication from the district on the Wyoming budget and all the possibilities that come with that. I thought it might be best just to reflect on where we are in that timeline right now. Rhonda, can you kind of bring everyone up to speed on what's happening within the next few days and
Yeah.
the next week?
So, the past week or so, and thanks to Susie for helping us share out the, call to action, we had, I think, a pretty good response to that. Had a number of folks who were advocating on behalf, not just of Wyoming City Schools, but, you know, doing union leadership here with us. I know that they were heavily involved in that advocacy as well. We appreciate that, not just advocating for Wyoming City Schools, but public school funding in general. Been a lot going on, been, you know, significant debate around, the funding formula and the guarantee and, just a number of things that were specific to public school funding. And then, kind of got a curveball thrown, to everyone, and that, this, a new piece of legislation as it was introduced that, really was a massive overhaul of not just public school funding, but just sort of the tax structure that supports not just public schools, but supports a number of local governments. And so, I think what has been good about that in the past 10 days is that, there has been significant advocacy from townships, counties,
Please.
police and fire, you know, specifically as it relates to something that we all know and love called inside village. There's a provision of the Ohio Constitution, so this is, you know, way before all of us, right? That says that, you know, there's a millage that was allowed to be assessed. I'm joking with some call it startup cash. When, all cities and townships and governments and school districts were created, there's provision in the Ohio Constitution that allows 10 mills to be assessed without the vote of the people. And that allows you to kind of start up, create a school, have governance, have council, roads, bridges, streets, the post office, fire, police. And so then, you know, once you do that, then you're, move into the provisions of voted tax increases. And, so with this new piece of legislation, all of a sudden, inside village is set to be abolished, which doesn't just happen to school districts, it happens to counties and municipalities and townships and, villages and cities. And, you know, I've learned a lot about how that funding impacts other local governments. Something that I learned is that a number of, at the county level or cities, a number of those dedicate their inside millage to the pension of police and fire. I did not know that.
Wow.
And so,
Wow.
you know, that advocacy has been strong, and I hope that the legislators are starting to understand the significance of the kind of things that they're proposing. So there has been widespread advocacy. You know, we have relatively low inside millage in the land of inside millage across the state. You know, I've worked in some other school districts, our inside millages was at almost 7. Here in Wyoming, it's 3.85, so it's a little lower of the, if you think about the 10, it gets divided up. And so, but that is still $1.7 million in tax revenue for us.
Yeah.
And so you sort of start to add that on to all of the other things that we were already battling just in terms of school funding. And there's just kind of some piles of things that we are up against. Again, I'm proud of our community, our school community, our partners who I do think have joined us and been really helpful in this advocacy. So, conference committee is expected to vote out tomorrow. House and Senate full votes on Wednesday, and then it's off to the governor. So stay tuned. You may be, you know, maybe full steam ahead, trying to maybe, depending on what comes out, requesting some line item vetoes from the governor's office. So,
Do we have any idea about the inside village? Cause that did spark a lot of people.
yeah.
Sure.
Here's what is so bizarre about that. Right before the testimony, they entered an amendment to the budget. So you've heard me talk a lot about the 20 mil floor, which is not us.
Right.
We are not at the 20 mil floor. Your inside millage counts towards the floor.
Right.
And so they introduced an amendment that said that, there was sort of this common understanding that if they pulled the inside millage out and that dropped you below 20, there's this law said you can't go below 20, so you just pop right back up. So for districts at the floor, which is a lot of them, they said, well, that's fine, we don't care, we have this protection in the law. They passed an amendment to the bill that said that that protection is no longer. The bill now includes loss of that protection. So if
So
you
it will become an 18 mil
so you would
floor,
become
or
what if there's no floor? If your inside millage is 7 and it bumps you down to 13, then so be it, you're at 13.
Oh,
So it's tricky. I mean, I think what we've, and you've said this a number of times, it is complicated and the complication factor is being used against us all. There's so many different layers of the things. And I, every time I do this with you, I just feel like I'm rambling with all of all of the layers of the things that, are part of what's being considered. It's hard to figure out which one we focus the most of our energy on, because you focus all your energy on that and explaining and understanding and helping people, understand enough to advocate. And then, well, that by tomorrow, that's all different. And it's a whole new set of what could impact us in a really negative way. So it's really been a challenging budget cycle. Some things that have been, part of the Ohio Constitution and have been, approved by voters for 50, 100, 150 years are, being debated to be changed in the last 5 days. And that's difficult. So it's gonna be
So last
an
week,
eventful week.
last week there was a by invitation only meeting that I guess all of our lobbyists were invited. Do we know anything that came out of that
Do
closed door
not
meeting?
have an update on any sort of outcome.
This is very frightening. I think the problem I'm having with the inside millage, you take away the inside millage because you want to give the people who own property in Wyoming a tax break, well, throughout the state, but let's go with Wyoming, a tax break. All right, so they get a tax break because now they're not paying the inside millage, but now the city of Wyoming and Wyoming City Schools both need money.
Mhm.
We both have to go on the ballot.
Yeah.
And we both have to ask the community, those same people who just had this tax break.
Mhm.
It's like this horrible circle. Oh, by the way, we need more money. It's awful.
Yeah, so this impacts our city partners as well.
Yes.
We had a good conversation with Jeremiah, finance director at the city, about the impact on their budget. And, they have their advocacy groups working, the same way. I was invited to speak at a group of local government officials, city finance directors. Jeremiah was there, township finance officials, from the greater Cincinnati region. And, it's a really big deal. But I do think that the weight of it helps, because there's been broad position.
Yeah.
The county auditors gave some very compelling testimony. Our bond council partnered with other bond councils across the state, so the Brad Ruiz of the world, Becky Prince-Horns of the world, so a shout out to the bond councils, who all, gave, again, some very technical, but very compelling testimony about how this impacts district bond issues. Just to help legislators understand really the gravity of what they're doing, and how it impacts long-term obligation to bondholders and how it would.
And your bond rating,
And the bond, well,
your bond rating
and the bond.
tank. And then there was something last week that OSBA had a thing for us to sit in on about the fact that some of this will fall to the mortgage lenders. Will decide when to take the money.
Oh, right, because they are,
And
they're running the escrow.
yeah, and that
Yeah.
becomes an incredible mess.
The county auditor testimony, County Auditors Association testimony, so again, shout out to Matt Nolan, who's the Warren County Auditor, was very well done. And just helping people understand, because the legislation is effective July 1st. Well, you don't pay your taxes just starting July 1st. The rates are assessed and values are assessed on a calendar year.
Right.
So, the county auditors have no idea what to do with that information. And tax bills that, normally go out a week to 10 days after July 1st in some counties. So just, it's so challenging in terms of then assessment, collection. What will the rate be? How do you assess it? How do you collect it? It's really, really difficult. And that's just the teeny tiniest little piece of what's happening, so.
So should we be aimed at the governor now, or do you want us to stay
I
with
think
our
we need,
senators?
I think we wait to see what comes out of conference. There will not be a debate once it comes out of conference committee. It will go to the House and the Senate and it will be approved and it will head on to the governor. But, my hope is that the strength of the advocacy across the state we'll do the job and we'll get something reasonable. I mean, it's almost like we've almost forgotten about what's happening with the fair school funding plan now, because there's been, a
Yeah.
100 other awful things that have happened since then.
Yeah.
That might be by design.
And we're still not
Oh.
properly funded, yes.
Sure, sure. No,
All right.
we've said from the beginning that, our best way out of this is to just keep the state funding that we have. And now at this stage of the game, I'm gonna be really happy to keep all the local voter approved funding that we have. Because that, that's really what is at this now. So the inside village, everything that's been voter approved. And then also just, keep the guarantee on the state funding side.
Because
So
that's
if we
what-
come out of this keeping everything that we have, it's gonna be a win.
Because that's what the people on the floor are going to lose, their voter approved levies. Oh. Oh. Oh, it was,
You want to be part of it all.
all right, thank you. We are not leaving, you all may, but we are going to move to executive session to consider the employment of public employees. And I thank everyone for coming. I'm sorry to make you go home on that kind of low note, but make some calls tomorrow.
Thank you.
I thank you. We're,
Do you want to motion us in and?
a motion is into executive session. May I have a motion to move into executive session, please?
So moved.
And a second. I'll second it and roll call.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Zeller?
Yes.
Mrs. Broderick? Yeah, Mr. Feldman?
Yes.
Yes.